that are very important to me. Two of the nuns that are very important to me, and what they did in my life. But before I go into all of that, and before I go into any more detail for you to ask questions, I want to ask y'all a question. And I don't know how sound will work on this end for me to be able to hear y'all, but I'm not the first speaker, correct, David?
That's correct. You're now number 4.
Okay. All right. And these are the students that heard the other 3 speakers?
Yes, they have.
Okay. So as a quick introduction, just so I can get to know y'all a little bit, raise your hand and let me know, what have you learned so far? What surprised you about Black Catholic History Month, or any of the facts that you've heard so far? What have you learned? Just real quick. And as you raise your hand, say your name so I can see who I'm talking to. What have you learned so far from 3 speakers? I see a hand, I think, up in the corner, and David, you might have to repeat what's said in case I can't hear.
All right, that's Noah. Go ahead, Noah.
All right, Noah.
The winners, and a lot of it has been suppressed or changed, so we've just been learning about that throughout the past 4 speakers.
Did you hear that, Doc?
Not at all.
Okay, he said that so far in the unit, he's learned about the other side of traditions of Catholic faith that were not in his upbringing, and that he said, and I quote, that history, as I told them, he who writes history makes history. There are things that are added, there are things that are deleted, and there are things which just aren't included. And that's one of the main reasons why we do this unit every November.
Amen. All right. Thank you, Noah. Who else? Let's get 2 more people, and then we can move on. What did you learn? What affirmed or shocked you?
Anyone?
Come on. Don't be shy, seniors.
We have a hand up. Go ahead, Adrian. Aiden. Oh, that's a good point. Okay, Aiden said that one thing that surprised him was normally when you hear about Black religious, they tend to be Protestant, but through what he's learned here, he's seeing that there are millions of Black Catholics in the United States, and he had no idea. And when you would like to, if you identify with any nationality, what would it be, Aiden? He's Hispanic.
Okay.
All right, and you are Catholic. Yes, okay.
All right, thank you, Aiden. One more person. One more person.
Come on, I know somebody. Go ahead, Logan. No. The Black Power movement is a very closely associated with the Catholic Church, especially in Chicago.
Okay. Amen. Amen. All right. Well, thank y'all. And I hope you understand, and I thank David for this opportunity to educate y'all, because guess what? These are some of the undertold stories that even adults that have been Catholic their whole lives never hear. So I hope you understand the resource and the gift that y'all being shared and are being given to y'all at this moment. So before I go into my spiel of the connections and different things that are here, I need you to understand something about New Orleans. And y'all, I'm seeing the Orioles stuff. Y'all are in Baltimore, right, David?
No, we're in Northern Virginia, but I'm from Baltimore.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Well, but even still.
I'm a son of the Oblates like you were the Holy Family.
I hear you, brother. All right. Well, my apologies. But what I want y'all to understand is there are pockets of spaces in this country where there are large parts of Black Catholics and large concentrations of Black Catholics. Baltimore is one. That's why I was looking at Baltimore. DC is another, closer to y'all. But for me, New Orleans is probably one of the, as they would say, the Mecca, for lack of better words, because of what we have here. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So when you hear these stories that you may not have heard, because of where you're at, but it's important for y'all to keep it going. So I want to share like a 4-minute video clip that we did about Mother Henriette Delille and the Sisters of Holy Family. And I'll go further into describing, you know, how she is and her impact on me, my community, and what that means for you all as well. All right, David?
Yes, sir. Coming up. Uh-oh, hold on. I didn't do the sound. I learned that last time. There we go. I'll make that mistake. All right, folks.
The Black Catholic community has been a part of the fabric of New Orleans since its founding. Despite the horrors of slavery, the community grew, even when the Catholic leaders in the area failed to stand up for them. Many Black Catholic leaders emerged through the years. One particularly strong leader was the Venerable Henriette Delille, foundress of the Sisters of the Holy Family, the first New Orleans congregation for women of color.
Henriette Delille was born in New Orleans during the time of slavery. During that time, she wrote in her prayer book, "I believe in God, I hope in God, I love, I want to live and die for God."
Mother Henriette Delille was born and raised in the French Quarter as a well-off Catholic, free woman of color. From a young age, her mother trained her in literature, music, dancing, and nursing to attract a wealthy white man to marry, a common practice in the past. Because of her Catholic upbringing, however, she resisted that life.
Henriette and her friends wanted to become religious, but at the time it was not legal for whites and blacks to live together. The church at first couldn't even feel like there was going to be black people being religious, but then the bishop helped them out. In 1842, she founded the Sisters of the Holy Family.
Henriette Delille had a passion for the sick and the elderly. She began the old folks' home with 4 ladies that lived in the house with them. Today, we have La Fawn Nursing Facility, which is now known as the oldest continuously Catholic operating nursing facility in the United States.
When Henriette is canonized, she will be the first native-born African American to become a saint.
This is something that will really be great for the African American community, that you would have this positive role model and someone that you know is up there that you can have praying for you and who would know the struggles that you would go through as an African American person, because she certainly went through many struggles simply because of the color of her skin. I've always understood, being an African American female, that I had 2 things that were a strike against me because of the fact that first I was a female and the second I was African American. So you had to be greater than your counterpart, your Caucasian counterpart. The fact that she became a religious in the Catholic Church, it made me understand, it makes us understand that we are welcome in the Catholic Church and we can be a part of what they would call the hierarchy of the Catholic Church. I believe in God, I hope in God, I love, I want to live and die for God.
Hey guys, I hope you learned something and enjoyed this documentary on Venerable Mother Henriette Delille and the Sisters of the Holy Family. But if you want to go deeper and learn more about Black Catholic spirituality and my hometown of New Orleans, go right here, blackfaithmatters.com. Peace.
All right. All right, Doc. Yeah, it was nice.
All right. Question. How many of y'all have never ever seen
Hold on, Doc. 1 second.
I usually describe the Saints Project as a modern portrayal of Catholic saints and then
digitally altered to look like
fine art.
So the first time I remember.
Sorry about that.
All right.
They laugh at me. That's all right. You can laugh. I tell them, Doc, they're gonna be old one day. All right.
Right. Question: how many of y'all have never seen a black nun in person? Never seen. Hold it high. Hold it high. It's dark in there. All right, I see shadows. Okay. And so I just need y'all to understand the way. Well, how many of y'all have never seen a nun in person? Period. Let me be clear. Let me ask that question. All right, y'all seen a nun, but never seen a black nun in person. Well, I need y'all to understand, when we look at my neighborhood in my city, New Orleans, you know, the Sisters of the Holy Family, along with other religious orders that are here, their presence is very prevalent here in this area and in this region. So it's no stranger for us to see black nuns, to see black priests, to see black people involved in ministry in various ways, in the Catholic Church in particular, because of the way the Catholic Church is here. But to understand Mother Henriette Delille, you got to understand our neighborhood, Treme. Treme is a subdivision in New Orleans, right outside the French Quarter. And Treme is the oldest black neighborhood in the country. It's where free people of color, that's what they called us back then, were allowed to buy land in the 1700s. And because of that, you got to understand the story of Treme to understand the story of Venerable Mother Henriette Delille. Like I said, it's the first African-American neighborhood. It is also the location of Congo Square. Congo Square is an area not too far from where I'm sitting right now, less than a mile. And it is at Congo Square where our enslaved ancestors, free people of color, indigenous, you know, because they had several indigenous tribes around here that occupied this area. In fact, just so David knows, you were close in the way of saying the name of my tribe, but Chapatulis is the name of New Orleans before it was called New Orleans. And Chapatulis is a Choctaw word that means people of the river. So you had all these groups of people, along with white people that wanted to come, gathering in Congo Square on Sundays, because they had this law, French law called Code Noir, called the Black Code, that relegated the lives of people of color in this area. And it meant that, one, people weren't where they could gather, where they couldn't gather, what they could listen to, all this stuff. But also on Sundays, because of the Catholic faith in this area, nobody was supposed to work. So the slave owners, for lack of better words, would go to the French Quarter to party, and then the enslaved ancestors and other people would gather in Congo Square. That was a safe place to gather. But because of that gathering, people would share their culture. So if you were from the Caribbean, you would share your music. East Africa would share their music and culture. Indigenous would share their cultures. And out of this gathering is where jazz music came from, because of people in Congo Square gathering. And also some of the foods that people attribute and like from New Orleans, whether it's red beans and rice, gumbo, just other delicacies, came from the mixing of these cultures. But also out of this area was Homer Plessy. How many of y'all heard of the case, civil rights case, Plessy versus Ferguson? If you haven't, that's all. Oh, all right. Well, go ahead, y'all. All right. Well, Homer Plessy, a Black Catholic man, grew up in this area, and he went to St. Augustine Church, which is just right down the street from where I'm at here at St. Peter Claver. And because of the mindset of the people of this area, they knew that slavery was wrong. They knew that Jim Crow segregation was wrong. And so they put into practice ways to fight for justice. And so in doing so, Homer Plessy boarded a train down the street in the Night Ward. And because of that, the case Plessy versus Ferguson took place, and the idea of separate but equal occurred. And because of that case, this is why civil rights cases under the auspices of Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, you know, you could list on and on and on, all these people took place because of the work and the spark that happened in this area. And this is what Mother Henriette Delille, the environment that she grew up around. You know, yes, she was before Homer Plessy, but the mindset that Homer Plessy came from the mindset of Mother Henriette Delille. this Black woman that wanted to create a religious order during a time when, you know, Black people had very little to no rights. In fact, we weren't thought of as fully human at the time, legally. And so because of that audacity and because of that dream, because of that faith, now the Sisters of Holy Family are here today. It is because of them I do the work that I do with the young people in my neighborhood. You know, I've been a youth minister at my home church, like I said, St. Peter Claver here, you know, where I'm at now, taught in the school while it was open. It closed 2 years ago, unfortunately, and still do the work in the diocese and around the country, you know, as we speak. And I don't know if any of y'all go to the March for Life, but I'm the MC for the rally this year. So if y'all see me, come holler at me there. But because of the work of the sisters, because of the prayers and the faith of Mother Henriette Delille, I do what I do now. But I want to share two stories, and then I'm gonna open it up for questions. One of the two are the nuns that made the greatest impact on my life. The first is Sister Eva Regina Martin, who was like my mom. She's the one that guided me into ministry, along with my father figure, our pastor here for 30 years, who died, unfortunately, in 2013, Father Michael Jacques. But they saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. Growing up, I wanted to be a DJ. You know, I did block parties in the projects, worked at the radio station here, and I don't know if it's still popular, but Cash Money Records, I used to work with them when they first started here in New Orleans. But in the midst of all that, Sister Eva saw something in me. Just as David said, we know each other from the Institute for Black Catholic Studies at Xavier here in New Orleans. Sister Eva is the one that used to run the program. She was the director as I was coming up, and she's the one that said, I want you to go to school here. And she helped me find funds to go to school there. And I do what I do because of her. The second person that I want to tell you about, and I have a picture of her, Sister Claire of Assisi right here. She just died and we buried her 2 months ago. But Sister Claire used to be the president and principal of St. Mary's Academy, the all-girls Black Catholic school here in New Orleans that the sisters run. But one of the things that you need to understand about Sister Claire and, Lord, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but these two nuns in this article about Loyola University of New Orleans is they are the two that desegregated Loyola University of New Orleans. And, you know, meaning they were the first two people of color to attend Loyola because it was only white people that could go there at the time. And that was in 1963. And so think about the faith that these women had to have to step out into those spaces. Think about the faith that was nurtured because of Mother Henriette Delille and the work that she did. And now I want to tie this into you all right now. This faith also continues in each and every one of you. Because as you look at the social justice movements that are there in society right now, the people that are trying to create a more just society in the streets or in the boardrooms or wherever, a lot of these movements are being led by youth and young adults because you see what's wrong and y'all want to do something to change it. But guess what? That's what Venerable Mother Henriette Delille did. When they created the orphanages, when they created the senior citizen nursing homes, when they created the outreach to those in need, she saw something wrong and she wanted to do something about it. As you learn more about the other Black Catholics on the road to canonization, like I said, like Sister was saying in the video, she's the first one that was born here in the United States, and that's important for us. So for each and every one of y'all, I need y'all to understand this. As you participate in this work, as you learn more about these things, I need you to know this. The one thing I want you to walk away with today is this. Venerable Mother Henriette Delille did not let society define her. Because of her faith, she defined society during that time. And so too to each and every one of y'all. Y'all are not here to define society or let society define you. You're here to make an impact in the world and make that change, just like these models of faith did before y'all. So I want y'all to walk away with this question right now. And I ask you this right now. As you learn more about the lives of Black Catholics, but also the life of Mother Henriette Delille, how does she and her work inspire you to make a greater change in the world? What do you think you are called to do? So that's my presentation, and that's my question to y'all right now. And David, I think you can turn the lights on. I don't know if it's turned on for the video. But my question to you all is, and then I'll open the floor to y'all to ask me questions. How do you see Venerable Mother Henriette Delille's life as a Black Catholic woman creating a change in her times, inspiring or motivating you to do the same in your time? That's my question to y'all.
Go ahead, Logan. Just speak up when you.
By not letting society define who we should be.
Logan said, by not letting society define how we should be.
Okay, all right. How else?
Go ahead, Elaney.
I know that as being from a place of privilege and all these really incredibly strong people that we've learned about these past couple of weeks, I think it just goes to show that we don't have an excuse not to go out there and be good.
Wow. Elaney says she recognizes that she comes from a point of privilege, but in the last few weeks, she has seen the struggle and what other people have gone through outside of her culture and tradition, but still, in the words of St. Paul, neither Greek nor Jew, slave nor free, male nor female, we're all one in Christ Jesus.
Amen. No, and I thank you for that. And just to point out, when you research her history, Mother Henriette Delille, she was also in a privileged class. They called them octoroons, meaning, you know, just the different backgrounds and the different ethnicities that were in her. But like I said, she was being, for lack of a better word, bred or groomed to marry an affluent white man. You know, that was the popular thing in the French colonial times during this area, you know, but yet she saw that she wanted to give up that status, that privileged status, because many people wanted it, to help the people in need. So yes, so thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? How does Mother Henriette challenge you?
Would you go a little bit further with that relationship? Because I saw something in the video about that. It's a P word. I forgot how to say it. Where young women like Henriette was raised to be mistresses for the aristocracy of the day and expected to do it. And what you just said, what was that word that's called?
Plaisance, I believe it's plaisance. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, something like that, right?
But let me give you all this example. How many of y'all saw the movie Coming to America, or the new one, Coming to America? And y'all saw that on Amazon Prime? All right. And you saw how there was the young ladies that were groomed for the princes, and all they were groomed were to learn how to take care of the princes and do what they needed to do. That's kind of similar to what was going on here in New Orleans during that era, with a lot of the light-skinned and free Black women of color, where they were being groomed to work and serve white men. It was just the reality of the time. And, you know, she saw that that was wrong, and she wanted to make a change in that in and of herself. So.
Thank you. Because I thought that was real interesting. That's the first time I heard that there was an actual system that developed this. I had never heard that before.
And if you want to talk about how racism plays a part in a lot of this canonization process, remember, that was the normalcy of the times, and she was forced to be a part of that. And if you do more research, people are saying Mother Henriette Delille's cause is being held up because she had a baby that she lost because of that system.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Sister Holy Family, if you do that research, there was a baby that was conceived that was lost because of that system. So yes, and it was after that she said, I can't be a part of this. So yeah, there's a lot of reality, and she was forced into that. Okay. You know, just like you hear about a lot of our enslaved ancestors that were forced into having relationships with men they did not want. So I mean, it delves deep. Even though she was a free person of color, she wasn't really that free.
I'll be there. All right.
So what questions y'all have for me, y'all? Any questions y'all have for me?
Did you do it? Write any down like I asked? Or was Doc that thorough? I think he's thorough, but no one has any questions. Sebastian, what do you think? Inspiring, okay. Good comment. Anyone else? Bam, what do you think?
Very interesting form. I think it's just kind of sad how our education is so biased that you don't really realize that you're taught otherwise. I know personally, I mean, I'm European Hispanic, but I know that I don't really see anything from my culture / heritage in our education. And it's just really interesting to see, like, not only that confirmed, to see that across many other cultures and heritages around, it's just not seen. And I just find it really interesting.
Bea said that as a European Hispanic young woman, she's seen some things, but has not seen others, especially not to the degree that has been discussed over the last couple of weeks about the overcoming the struggles of people, Catholic men and women of color, and why she can see they're on their road to sainthood for the work that they did, which for the most part is not in the history books.
Right.
It's in nothing she has read up to this point in 12 years of school.
What was her name?
Oh, I go by Bea.
Rhea, is that right?
That's Bea.
Oh, Bea. All right. Yeah, no, thank you for that. And now you see why those of us that have gone to like national conferences and when I've sit on these boards that were in my bio, I'm always having to advocate like, no, Black Catholics have been here. Black Catholics have contributed to the church, and this is our church as well. We're not someone that just came around 5 minutes ago, but because of what, like you said, Bea, what's not taught and what's not expressed, people don't know it. So when people get into positions of power, they think they know everything because of what they've heard, but they don't realize they don't know everything because there's a lot that hasn't been shared. So, you know, my challenge to you all is as you move on in life, not to forget these stories, and then you're in places to advocate, because y'all will probably be in places that can advocate for my young people that are coming after y'all more than I can in spaces that are needed. So thank you for that.
Good. All right, anyone else? This is like the altar call. we hit the end here, and this is where we got burning desire. This man, gentleman, this intellectual, this theologian from New Orleans, Louisiana. You're not gonna get a chance to see him. So I just heard about the March for Life. And Daniel, where are you again? Raise your hand. He's on the pro-life committee here. Anyone else on pro-life club? But they go, the whole school almost goes.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it this year because it's like the rally at the Capital One Arena. They're deciding whether or not they're actually going to hold it there or it's a thing in process. It's a transition. They're trying to work it out. But there's one other thing that I'd like to share in regards, and this has nothing to do with Mother Henriette Delille, but it is connected to her school, St. Mary's Academy. How many of y'all have seen the movie, the Disney movie, Princess and the Frog? All right. How many of y'all like that movie?
I've never seen it. Okay.
It was all right? All right.
All
Well,
right.
I want y'all to know this lady right here, right behind me, if y'all can see this picture?
Yes.
That's Miss Leah Chase. That's who the movie was based on, not the
Leah
frog.
Chase.
Yeah. And Miss Leah was one of my matriarchs. She died 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And Miss Leah went to St. Mary's Academy, where the Sisters of Holy Family run, and Mother Henriette Delille founded that order. So she is a product of St. Mary's Academy and Mother Henriette Delille's legacy. And because of her work, social justice movement, her restaurant, Dookie Chase, is where a lot of the civil rights leaders, Martin Luther King, A.P. Turo, you know, all these people that would come to New Orleans to plan, there was no place because of segregation that they could eat in the French Quarter. So they would gather at this restaurant on the second floor and plan on how to fight for justice for the people of New Orleans and around the country. And in fact, musicians like Stevie Wonder, the Jackson 5, all of them, when they would come to perform in New Orleans, they couldn't eat at the restaurants in the French Quarter, so they would go to Dookie Chase. So because of her work, inspired by Mother Henriette Delille and the Sister Holy Family, you know, she's very much recognized around the world, but in a special way by Walt Disney, by being the inspiration for Princess Tiana in that movie. So I just want to give you that little tidbit before I left.
That's good. I never saw that movie, but I know my grandkids did.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Burning Desire time. This is the last time we'll get to see him unless you go to DC for the Right to Life pro-life march. I'd like to thank Dr. Augustine. Let's give him a round of applause. I also want to mention, even though I know it's a little commercial, he's too proud to say anything. But his outreach program, Vagabond Mission, is that right, Doc?
Yes, sir.
Vagabond Missions, and I have a flyer that I'm going to post to your canvas where you can donate to Vagabond Missions and help with St. Peter Claver Parish right there in New Orleans, and other programs, outreach to young people like yourselves that Dr. Augustine is doing in New Orleans. I know I'm gonna give something, Doc, especially end of the year is good, man. We gotta get it in for the taxes.
Yeah,
Get it right off. But that ain't why I'm doing it now. I ain't gonna but it's a good idea that, once again, being philanthropic. One good thing about our school, Doc, we have a soup drive and a super dance for cystic fibrosis. So these young people are used to raising money and donating and giving to causes and getting Christian service hours. You know all about that. So I'm definitely gonna post Vagabond Missions and Ministry. If anyone's interested in donating, share it with your families. All right. Once again, let's give Doc a round of applause.
Right.
Thank you very much, Doc. It's good to see you. You look well. Today is my Founders Day. So you need to know that it's like, look, it's like this.
Yeah, and so just so y'all know, for context, we are all part of the Divine Nine, the Black Greek letter organizations, me and David, two different organizations. We're loving rivalry. All my cousins are Omegas, just like him from LSU. I'm the only Alpha in my family, but it's all right.
All right, Doc, you have a blessed day, man. Thank you. You'll be hearing from me shortly.
All right, God bless y'all.
All right, bye.